Yes, Mr.
Session
President.
is resumed.
Thank you, Mr. President. If everybody has read it and they can read it or skim through it very, very fast, we can see, Mr. President, the purposes of each committee, if you look at the rules. And then you look at the resolution, Mr. President, the only thing that makes it reorganization is the title. The substance of the whole resolution is allegedly to restructure. But there's not even any proposal whatsoever, any hint of a reorganization. It puts the specter of corruption, and therefore we have to reorganize this particular department. Now, if we follow the rule to its, the intent to its logical extreme, then the whole country, all the cabinet positions of the country, all the departments, will have to be restructured, and the Civil Service Committee will be a very powerful committee, because every time you reorganize on the basis of alleged graft and corruption, everybody will have to go through the Civil Service Committee, which doesn't talk about that. The Civil Service Committee says that all matters relating to the civil service and the status of officers and employees of the government, including their appointment, discipline, retirement, their compensation, privileges, benefits, and incentives, implementation of the constitutional provisions on the rights of government workers to form and join labor organizations, public sector, labor management, relations, and collective negotiation agreement, the organization of the government or any of its branches or instrumentalities, all human resource development programs pertaining to the government, and all other matters relating to the bureaucracy. On the other hand, Mr. President, the Committee on Justice clearly talks about all matters relating to the organization and administration of justice, civil courts, penitentiaries, which I believe should be investigated, quite frankly, and in reformatory schools, probation, impeachment proceedings against constitutional officers and other officers legally removable by impeachment, registration of land titles, immigration and naturalization, the implementation of the provisions of the Constitution on human rights, and all matters pertaining to the efficiency and reforms in the prosecutorial service, which, if you look at the substance, is the aim of the very proposal that is on the table, which is a mere resolution, Mr. President. If we want to reorganize, then you will have to premise this with a bill, because when you reorganize, then you will have to come out with new appropriations for the new committees that are going to be placed at that, and that will be covered then by the budget or by the finance or the Ways and Means Committee, in which case it goes into a big, big net. Now, Mr. President, we are all aware, and far be it from me to cast aspersions on the personalities in the Senate. I've tried, Mr. President, you are all aware that when you talk to me about some senators wanting to see me, I acceded right away, and you didn't hear from me after that, even if later on the whole game was changed again. But you've not heard from me, and to my mind, every senator should aim for a harmonious relationship here, that we can respect each other, and we don't have to flout the law. There are committees established here. If we flout the law under a system where just because we title something as a reorganization, when in fact it is really an investigation, which all of us want anyway, then let's give it to the proper committee. And the proper committee in this particular case, because this involves accountability of public officers, the principal committee is the Blue Ribbon, of which, unfortunately, I'm the chairman, Mr. President. As you know, Mr. Chairman, you very well know, you've told me I'm overloaded, and I am. And I have not complained. I have just tried to do my work. The principal person complaining all the time is Mrs. Gordon. But in reality, Mr. President, if we are going to follow the rules, and I'm sure everybody wants to follow the rules, we should go to the Committee on Blue Ribbon, because this is an investigation of that. But I had been asked by the media, am I going to investigate? I said I was still thinking about it, because I said we're not policemen. The Committee on Justice, under the doctrine of exhaustion of administrative remedies, should be allowed to cleanse itself. If they cannot clean it, we should not waste the time of the Senate in useless investigations, which an injured, a wounded department can actually cleanse itself with. Otherwise, we will be going after everybody, and there will be no legislation made anymore. As it is, Mr. President, I really feel very disappointed. We worked very hard in the committee, and, you know, Senator Lacson and myself, we were co-chair, we came out with proposals. I mean, in aid of legislation. There has never been a time that this representation, since he became a senator, has never investigated without a bill in aid of legislation. In fact, before the session closed last Christmas, I talked to the majority floor leader and I said, I don't think you have to refer the rules of the Committee on Justice to any other committee, because that is our proposal and everybody signed up on it, and I can actually sponsor it right away here to save us all time. I know that I've departed from the original thought, but the point is, Mr. President, I think we should all have some form of modus vivendi here, where if one wants to investigate, there's nothing that would prohibit anybody from coming to the chairman of a particular committee. I think that was very clear. I thought that was a very, very big responsibility that you foisted on me when you asked me to be Committee on Justice. And because of that, Mr. President, the Committee on Justice was handled well. Everybody had a chance. In fact, the difference in the Committee on Justice was that we gave everybody 10 minutes, and I asked the committee, if you are not happy with the 10 minutes, and if I think, trust me, that you can continue beyond the 10 minutes so that the idea, the notions that you put in will not be lost, you will be allowed. Because that is the objective, not the form of 10 minutes, but to go through the jugular, to go through the very essence of the investigation. And we did that to satisfaction. And we worked hard, long and hard. And that is why, in the same manner, if this falls on the Blue Ribbon Committee or the Justice Committee, I'm sure you know that this is going to be the same thing. We're going to have everybody go ahead, make your day, and investigate whoever you want to investigate. And by the way, the Blue Ribbon Committee will not be precluded. In fact, it is mandated to make sure that they come out with a proposed resolutions on reorganization, Mr. President. That is the proper course of events that should be followed in this particular instance. Not going beyond the law, not going through the motions of tiptoeing to get a resolution that you want to go to a particular member, because that sounds like forum shopping, but in reality, you want the justice to be victorious, to follow its course of investigation by 24 responsible senators, Mr. President. And I have no reason to believe that others are not responsible here. And that is why, Mr. President, I ask that everybody take a look at it. And like I said, the title, from its first instance, at first impression, says, and even my good friend Senator Lacson, my kababayan from Cavite, says, oh, I'll have to go there because mukhang ang title, ganun. I understand that. But if you look at the substance now, and if you go line by line, what are we reorganizing? What is the objective? Why are we putting the premise of these people who were caught? Should we be more interested in catching them before we reorganize? Isn't it proper for us to tell Mr. Aguirre, you better kick those guys out, and I want to see cases filed against these people right away in the Ombudsman? After all, the Ombudsman is going all over the place. In fact, the Department of Justice can file on their own. But, Mr. President, if we're going to waste the time of the Senate on ceaseless investigations, then we have heard it often said that we in the Senate investigate and investigate. Mahaba, pero wala nangyayari. I am really surprised because I came in very happily today and I didn't know that this was going to happen. And to disabuse the mind of my good friend, Franklin Trillanes, the honorable gentleman from Iloilo, I did not have any discussion with Senator Zubiri about this. I asked Senator Zubiri about a week ago that if he might want to sponsor something on the 100th anniversary of my father tomorrow. And I will ask the Senate, sheepishly here, to hopefully listen to it, and if you think it's worth it, to approve it, because tomorrow we will be in Olongapo to celebrate that. That's the only conversation I had. Yes. I never did discuss anything like this, so I'm sure Senator Trillanes will take my word for it. But anyway, those are my points, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Senator Trillanes is recognized.
I will be very brief, Mr. President. First of all, here in the Senate, being a legislative body, we always look at precedents. We always base our actions today on the actions that we did yesterday. On record, Mr. President, in the 13th Congress, we filed a resolution, proposed Senate Resolution number 319 on August 23, 2005, which the title of which is as follows: a resolution directing the Committee on Civil Service and Government Organizations to review the mandate and organizational structure of the Bureau of Immigration with the end in view of reorganizing the Bureau. This was referred to the Committee on Civil Service. So the precedent was the Committee on Civil Service was recognized to have the primary jurisdiction. In the 16th Congress, the Congress before this Congress, the late Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago filed proposed Senate Resolution 1247, which was based on the report that at least 40 officials of the Bureau of Customs are still working on salaries despite having expired job contracts. This reorganization proposal was referred to the Committee on Civil Service. Now, we take exception that there is something wrong with this resolution because it is a mere resolution. Precisely, Mr. President, we're invoking the authority of Congress to conduct investigation in aid of legislation through a resolution. So that one possibility is that this resolution, that as a result of the investigation, a proposed law will be submitted, as we have done in the past. The resolution, I recall very clearly, Mr. President, after the corruption in the GOCCs were exposed, we filed a simple resolution. That resolution was the subject matter or was the basis of an investigation. As a result of the investigation, the GOCC Governance Act was enacted. So it is not correct, and I take exception to the statement that it is a mere resolution and there is no specific proposal. Precisely, we file resolutions here because we want to investigate in aid of legislation. That the statement that the Civil Service Committee becomes very powerful, the place to debate on that is when we examine the rules and examine the jurisdiction of the Civil Service Committee. And that is precisely what we have here. In any case, Mr. President, during the off-the-record discussion, there was a proposal that we refer this to the Committee on Rules. So be it. If it's the will that it be referred to the Committee on Rules, that's the will of the majority. So we submit, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Drilon.
Mr. President.
Senator Subiri, yes?
Yeah, Mr. President, without casting any aspersion to any of our colleagues here, it's just that I clearly recall when I was Majority Floor Leader in the 14th Congress, discussions on the modernization of the Immigration Bureau was handled by Senator Chis Escudero, who was head of the Justice Committee at the time. And many other bureaus and departments that had gone reorg, it was out of parliamentary courtesy, were given to the committees in charge of that particular committee or portfolio. For example, in this Congress, Senate Bill number 17, Senate Bill number 85, and Senate Bill number 501, these are Philippine Immigration Act, modernizing the Bureau of Immigration, were all given to the Committee on Justice, Mr. President. So, nothing, we're not casting any aspersion on anyone. I just clearly recall, as Majority Floor Leader at the time, that we would refer these bills to the proper committee. For example, the modernization of the Coast Guard was given to the Public Services Committee because at that time it handled transportation and communication, Mr. President. Just
Yes.
food for thought. Thank you.
Senator Gordon?
Mr. President, before I can adequately discuss and acquit myself in the debate, I would like to ask for a copy of the so-called precedent. While it is true that we respect precedents, we're all lawyers. Precedents are a guide, but certainly every case has to be resolved in a manner that is fit, and that is to look at the substance of the law. But while we're getting it, and I'm requesting the Secretariat to get a copy of the rules, the precedent set that referred to by Senator Trillanes, I would like to lay before the committee, or the chair, and the plenary, this letter, and I'm asking that the original resolution that was filed be presented to us. I have here a copy of a letter signed by the distinguished gentle lady from Bicol, and it is dated 10 January 2017, and it is directed to Director Maria Antoinette Aristosa, Legislative Bills and Index Division. And it says, Dear Director Aristosa, this is respectfully withdraw the filing, and I'm asking for PSR number 258, I'm having it obtained now, entitled, A Resolution Directing the Committee on Accountability of Public Officers and Investigations to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation on the recent Jack Lam bribery scandal involving Bureau of Immigration officials and the Secretary of Justice, filed last January 9, 2017. And we will be filing a replacement resolution on this matter. Thank you very much. While it is the prerogative of any senator to do so, what is very clear here was the original intention is really to investigate the anomaly, the alleged corruption being perpetrated in the Bureau of Immigration as reported by the Secretary of Justice. Quite frankly, I myself am cynical about the whole thing because I don't think we have really unraveled the whole picture. We're seeing the small fish, we're not really seeing the big fish. And that is why I look forward to this. I didn't want to be a hog in the sense that everything I have to investigate. I don't have to, Mr. President. I try to be responsible. But be that as it may, here is a copy of the original resolution, and I think it's coming here, PS 258, that was filed, and that was referred originally to the Committee on Accountability. Now, without casting aspersion, there must have been a double take when they realized that, whoops, Blue Ribbon will be under Senator Gordon. I can accept the fact that they don't have trust in me, if that is what they plan, if that is what they think, and I will accept that. I'm not in a popularity contest here, Mr. President. I try to do my job. But it also shows that somebody is forum shopping. And therefore, they come into a very, very, roundabout way of getting the committee, the right committee, in their own view, to investigate what they want to investigate. And I don't think Senator Trillanes is part of that. I hope not. But that is the point. Why would you file something and then withdraw it and then come out in another mask? And this time, the mask wants to reorganize. And yet, it's vague. In law, Your Honor, when you go to trial, the question is vague. What is the intention of these questions? It is vague. No substance, Your Honor. Bakit binabawi? Now, Mr. President, I am not eager to investigate, but now that it is happening now, I will motu proprio conduct an investigation, if that has to be done. Because that is within the ambit of the powers of the Blue Ribbon Committee. And I've said so. I'm still studying it. I try to look before I jump. And therefore, some people jump right away and referred it to the committee when they found out it was going to be reported to the Committee on Blue Ribbon. Oops, about face, put on another mask. Let's tear down the mask. The mask is to investigate the Department of Justice. If that is so, why are we afraid to investigate it? They will have all the time in the world to ask the questions. I don't even want to refer today. Every senator will have the right. So long as they ask the questions, they can go on and on and on and ask questions. And that is my assurance, Mr. President. So, Mr. President, I think we've all seen the resolutions. I'm still trying to get 258. I hope they can get it right away. I think it really speaks for itself. Res ipsa loquitur. The original intention is to investigate the corruption. But now it has gotten bigger, and now it is now to reorganize. What will happen if we all start reorganizing the whole country? If after every investigation, and it falls in the committee that is not to our liking, then every senator says, we will reinvestigate it, we'll put it on the committee on rules, etc., etc. I think it's going to go to this. That is precisely why I'm standing up. I came here unknowing of what's happening. I came in, and having said that, I can catch up very fast. I do know that we may be flouting the rules, and I would not want to be party to flouting the rules. I would not try to downgrade the committee of my colleague here by going up in a roundabout manner and taking a bill. Now, I've taken bills before, Mr. President, that were not in my committee, but the committee chair asked me to sponsor them. And I can tell you the International Libertarian Law was under Senator Escudero, and she gave it to me, and I sponsored it. The Mariveles Freeport Zone, he gave it to me, and I continued on with it until both became laws. Or the law on free patent, again, that was referred to me. I have done that before, Mr. President. And, Mr. President, we are above board when we do that. Not in a very insidious way. Not through the back door. Let's go to the front door, Mr. President. When you file a bill, let us take a look exactly. That's why we have a committee on rules to take a look at the substance or the intention of the law itself. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Senator De Lima, Senator De Lima?
Yeah.
Did you raise your hand? Okay, Senator Drilon is recognized.
just for the record, I reject any insinuation that there is a cabal here on this particular issue. We filed our resolution, PS Resolution 256, on December 15. On December 15, we filed our resolution. I'm sorry. On December 15,
Yes.
we filed a proposed Senate Resolution 256. At that point, proposed Senate Resolution 258 was not even in the air. So there is no, it is clear that we filed the resolution almost a month before the De Lima Resolution 258 was filed, and therefore we take exception to any insinuation that there is a cabal here.
I did not say a cabal, Mr. President, with all due respect.
But that the language used by the gentleman from Zambales, it clearly implies that there was a conspiracy. There is
No, Mr. President, I did not say that.
just for the record, thank you, Mr.
The Drilon resolution is numbered 256. Therefore, it was
May we get a
filed
copy of this?
ahead of 258.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to get a copy because it astounds me that two numbers in between, or two numbers after 256, 258, and all of a sudden we're changing our minds. So, be that as it may, I will stand corrected if the resolution is presented here, but nonetheless, if 258 was never sponsored, nonetheless there was an intention, the original intention, or the intention of the author is to investigate the Blue Ribbon Committee. And why should she
258, yeah.
Why should she file 256, which is to reorganize?
256 has been filed by Senator Drilon.
I filed
Yes.
256.
Okay, Senator Dillon filed 256, and then 258 was filed, and maybe out of respect for the seniority of Senator Dillon, she withdrew it. And to me, that is the way I will leave it at that.
Yeah.
I will take the word for granted. I will take the word of the gentleman.
Are you done, Senator Gordon? Because Senator De Lima is raising her hand.
Well, she can do that.
Okay, Senator De Lima is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I just also express my lamentation. It's lamentable that this is again being made an issue about questioning the motivation of a member of the Senate in first filing a particular resolution and subsequently withdrawing it. May I state for the record the reasons why this representation felt it necessary and appropriate to withdraw resolution PS, originally PS resolution number 258, is because my attention was called to the prior filing of this resolution of the Honorable Senator Frank Drilon, resolution number 256. And when I went over it, I realized that this is broader in scope, because it seeks to further inquire into all the structural deficiencies that may be attributed as a cause for some acts of corruption within the Bureau of Immigration. Yes, while it was the original intent of the author of the original PS Res number 258 to go into the alleged acts of corruption involving 2 BI commissioners, and even with respect to the Secretary of Justice himself, who admitted that there was also an offer to bribe him by Mr. Jack Lam. But when I saw this resolution of Senator Frank Drilon, I realized that this is the best way to go about it, because it is, again, broader in scope. So in the interest of focus, in the interest of efficiency in looking into the matter, I decided to withdraw. And that is the very prerogative of any member of the Senate. So imputation of some kind of a bad faith or ill motive is definitely very offensive on the part of this representation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator De Lima. Senator Trillanes, recognize.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe we have several items on the agenda today, and I believe we also exhausted or squeezed all the juice out of this particular issue. So at some point we need to resolve it, because the status now is the resolution has been referred to the Civil Service Committee. Now, I believe the issue at hand is there is an overlapping of function, just as mentioned by the Senate President. Most of the committees have that. But we should give a premium of some sort to the author. If he prefers that the resolution that he authored be handled by a particular committee that he prefers, then we should respect that. I believe just out of sense of propriety, kung ayaw sa committee mo, bakit pinagpipilitan mo yung sarili mo? Di ba? I believe, hindi naman siguro ganon. Pero, while the gentleman from Zambales keeps on saying that he doesn't want to cast aspersions on his colleagues, I believe that's exactly what's happening. He is doubting, in this case, is it my capability to conduct a fair and objective committee hearing on the matter, or he probably feels superior in his world. In his world, he probably feels superior in handling such hearings. But I believe that's the issue at hand. Now, in my case, if he perceives or he doubts the intentions of the author and the committee chairman, I can also throw that same doubt to the defenders of the faith. How come they are closing ranks to make sure that this resolution doesn't fall into my committee? At any rate, Mr. President, we're waiting for that particular motion so
Yes.
that we can decide on the matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we now resolve the issue?
Yes,
Senator
Mr. President.
Subiri?
Yes, Mr.
last-
President, before
last
any
word,
more
last word, yes.
hurtful any more hurtful phrases or statements be made by any side. Mr. President, before I make the proper motion, I'd just like to give an example. This representation, being chairman of the Committee on Trade and Commerce, had jurisdiction of one particular bill, which is the amendments of the Corporate Code. But Senator Drilon had asked me, it was already referred to the committee, but Senator Drilon had asked me if he could hear it and take over, and I gladly, being that he is a seasoned and very experienced lawyer, gave in to him. So that's what I was mentioning lang earlier when I raised this issue, because it's really jurisdiction of committees, which is a, how do you say, may parliamentary courtesy po tayo sa ating makasamahan. So with that, so that we can move forward, it's the first day of session, we have a lot of things to do. May I move, Mr. President, to ask for the reconsideration of the particular resolution and be brought to the Committee on Rules for further discussion and taken up as soon as possible, back to the floor for whatever action may be. I think that's usually the normal, that is the normal course of action if there's a debate between referrals of particular committees. I think that's satisfactory to everybody because we're not objecting, we're just saying that we're going to bring it to the Committee on Rules to discuss further which particular committee really is in charge. I so move, Mr. President.
So there's a motion for us to reconsider the referral of proposed Senate Resolution number 256, which be first made to the Committee on Civil Service, that it be, because of the differing opinions as to the proper committee, it be referred in the meantime for study to the Committee on Rules. Okay. Is there any objection? Senator Trillanes?
Mr. President, I object to the motion of Senator Zubiri.
There is an objection, so following our rules, we have to divide the House. Those, Minority Leader, please.
Yes, what is the status of the referral of this resolution to the committee? Didn't we approve the referral?
Yes, now.
already to
Yes,
the
now.
committee
Yes.
on- So the first that should be debated on or voted upon should be the objection, if at all,
There's a motion.
to reconsider.
Yes.
Okay, so the first vote should be to reconsider first.
Yes, no.
The referral to the committee.
Right.
So we are not voting on to whether it should be referred again to the Rules Committee.
Majority Leader, should we
Precisely, Mr. President.
resolve it in one go or
Let me,
in two
let
steps?
me clarify the motion. The motion is to reconsider the referral of PS Resolution 256. That is the motion. To reconsider the referral. That is the motion. The intent to refer it to the Committee on Rules would be an automatic happening when something like this comes up. But we can consider that motion later. But we have to resolve
So we
first
will
the
divide-
motion
Okay.
to reconsider the referral to the Committee on Civil Service. Yun muna. And then because there is an objection. Are we,
Is there, if there's,
do you concur? Yeah.
May we ask for suspension so that we can approach the committee? Can I ask for 1 minute suspension, Mr. President?
any
so that we can-
objection? Hearing none, session is suspended. Tama, ganun na lang. Step by step, bali. Two steps.
Yes, I will withdraw and
Ready to resume, Mr. President.
Session is resumed. Can the majority leader state the parliamentary situation?
Yes, Mr. President, before the suspension, Senator Zubiri proposed a motion, and Senator Trillanes objected to the motion. The motion contained two actions. One is to reconsider the referral of PS Resolution 256 to the Committee on Civil Service. And the next motion was to refer it to the committee, or the compound motion was to refer it to the Committee on Rules. And Senator Trillanes objected to the motion. May I now amend the motion of Senator Zubiri, Mr. President,
yes,
with the concurrence of Senator Zubiri?
yes, Mr. President, I have no objection after discussing it with the majority floor leader. I move to withdraw my motion so that he can come up, or he can. I will defer to his.
All right. Withdrawal is enough. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
President.
you, Senator Zubiri. Majority leader, please
Yes,
go
in
ahead.
that case, the table is clear. Therefore, I move to reconsider the referral of PS Resolution 256.
Is there any objection? Minority leader?
Mr. President, the resolution has already been referred to the committee, and now the majority leader is making a new motion similar to the motion of Senator Zubiri to reconsider the referral to the Committee on Civil Service. May I also make an amendment to the motion of the majority leader? Why not just continue with referring the resolution to the Civil Service Committee as the primary committee and the Justice Committee as a secondary committee?
That is precisely the objection that was raised by Senator Gordon, Mr. President. That was the original proposal which we wanted to propound. But issues were raised, and Senator Gordon brought out the resolution, and for me, Mr. President, originally I had the same inclination. I was going to ask that that be considered, but we have other members of the Senate who have a different perspective.
Then maybe, Mr. Senate President, we should vote on the matter.
Yes, that's why we're voting on the motion to consider the referral, reconsider the referral of PS Resolution 256.
And
That is the
I am
motion.
registering an objection, Mr.
There is an
President.
objection, Mr. President, so we have to divide out.
Who else wants to speak? Senator Pangilinan? Yes.
Just a matter of procedure, Mr. President. Assuming hypothetically that the motion for reconsideration is approved, the referral, therefore, to the Committee on No, Committee on
Civil Service.
Civil Service is reconsidered.
Yes.
The
Yes.
resolution is then back on the floor, and then we will decide in plenary as to where to bring the said resolution.
After hearing the report of the Committee on Rules on the matter. If ever there's a motion to refer it, yes.
No, okay. There is no referral to the rules as of yet.
Yes, I'm sorry, yeah, right.
We are just reconsidering the referral to the Committee on Civil Service.
Yes.
If hypothetically it has been reconsidered, meaning the motion is approved, the resolution is back in plenary. And then we will decide in plenary as to where to refer the same.
Yes, that's correct, that's correct.
Just for clarification.
That's correct. So there is now a motion to reconsider the referral of PS Resolution number 256 to the Committee on Civil Service. And there has been an objection. So we will have to divide the House. And we vote by the raising of hands. Those in favor of the motion to reconsider the referral of PS Resolution number 256, please raise your hand. Hindi niyo nabilang? 20 lahat, no? Okay, okay. Okay, yun na. Yeah, I voted. In favor, I voted in favor. Ilan ba kami lahat? In favor. Ha? 3, 6, 9... 21 of us. Oh. Can I have the result, please? So by a vote, 13? What is it? By a vote of 14 in favor and 7 against, the motion to reconsider the referral of PS Resolution number 256 is carried or approved.
Mr. President, tradition and propriety dictates that in an action like this, the referral should, the resolution or the measure at hand should be referred to the Committee on Rules. And therefore, I move that we refer the PS Resolution 256 to the Committee on Rules.
There is a motion to refer proposed Senate Resolution number 256 to the Committee on Rules. Any objection? There being none, the motion is approved.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Majority Leader, I think we should continue with the referral of business because it was interrupted by the motion of Senator
Yes,
Subiri.
manifestation from
Senator Trillanes is recognized.
Just a manifestation for the record. The Senator Trillanes earlier said that any resolution, the referral of any resolution should take into account the wishes or the preference of the senator who authored it. Mr. President, when I was a Senate President and Senator Pimentel, if I may recall, agreed with me on the point that in determining the referral of any resolution or any bill, it should be the rules which should govern, not the preference of the senator. I am just stating that on the record of what we did when we were the Senate President. Whether or not that will be followed by this Congress is a matter that this Congress should decide. We are just stating what we followed when we were the President of the Chamber. Thank you, Mr. President.
Plus the fact that it should be the body which will govern rather than the title or the caption. Thank you.
Certainly, yes.
Thank you, sir. Secretary, please continue with the reference.